A very, very good afternoon to all of you present here. Some of you we know, and some of you we are glad to meet you today. We, Katha Krafters, we call ourselves a creative storytelling group. Of course, all storytellers are creative, but we have Anaga Prasad, ever eloquent, an expressive dancer and a beautiful storyteller. Parvati Ishwaran, whose zest for life and storytelling pulled her out from the corporate world right in our midst, and we are all richer for that. Geeta Subramaniam, an educationist with a deep, deep experience in the field of education and, of course, a passion for storytelling. And me, Meera Venkateshan, a learning specialist and storyteller, happy when I have my legs straddled in both areas. So today, what we are going to share with you are stories of resilience, stories when of people, of cities, of incidents which move beyond the depths. Resilience in physics is defined as the ability of a body to absorb energy and then come back to its original shape without losing its shape. Isn't that sort of true? We absorb the energy from the world around us. It's not that resilience is something which is just inside us. And when time comes, we use this energy to come back to our original shape, the way we are. Maybe not exactly the same, but we are in a position to move forward with life. It's a very famous story which I would like to share very short way before we move on to the first story of today. There was a farmer who had a donkey. The donkey had grown very old. One day, as it was trotting around the field, it happened to fall into a well. Now, the farmer came to know about this, saw this, and then decided that it was too much trouble lifting the donkey out of the well. He was very old anyway, so he decided that it was as good enough. So they would just bury him inside this dry well. And so all the people of the village got together, started shoveling mud into the well. Were their eyes deceiving them? Because every time they shoveled mud into the well, the donkey seemed to be on top. Then, in some time, the donkey was able to rise up right to the top. With this thought in mind, I would like to call Parvati Esaran, our first storyteller for today, to share her story.
The sun is shining so bright. It's so bright all around me. People are so happy. They're proud. It is a proud moment for me and the people around me. Can you see that little girl there? Picking up the toffee paper from the ground and putting it into the dustbin. That toffee paper would have just flown from somewhere because here nobody litters. I shall share a secret because heavy penalties are levied if they litter. But children, they are not aware of all these penalties. They have been taught, they have been told at school and home not to litter. It was wrong to litter. The schools here stress more on hygiene, health, environment. Can't be by sitting there with her face beaming, a wide smile. She's also happy at this proud moment because she and the sweepers like her had made a lot of contribution to this proud moment. And there was a very important person who also was who brought in this proud moment. I shall tell you in a bit. September 1994, it was just a few years back. The day dawned with the sun rising. But was the sun bright and shining? No, it looked a bit dark, gray, just like the state I was in. People were screaming, running all over the place. The children were dragged out of their beds, put on, and the family got into their cars and vehicles, and they were rushing out. They were deserting me, who had given them all their livelihood, helped them build up their business. They were deserting me. Why is Auntie Bai wailing like that? She was screaming, I told you people, why do you litter? Don't litter. Don't put the garbage here. Don't put the garbage in those open drains. Oh, I told these municipal authorities, please close these open drains. They are a place for breeding of mosquitoes and other problems. Oh no, why people? And again, a fresh burst of lament from Kantibai, and she was screaming. Why? Why? Just little clear, not clean or a little dirty. Why should that make people run away? My heart was heavy. It was about to burst. Why? I didn't know the reason why people were behaving like this and why Kantibai was crying like this. Ah, the screeching of those sirens from the ambulance. Not one, two, three, four. Screaming, screeching. Ah, I wish I could close my ears. They were taking somebody into the ambulance. And Dr. Seth was talking to that ambulance guy loud. I could hear him say, what? Really? No, it can't be. It can't be. Plague? Wasn't that eradicated? No. Really? It was plague? Do you remember the plague in London, which nearly destroyed London city? That plague? No. Plagues are caused by rats, right? Yeah. I saw rats. Lots of them on the drains. Could it be really plague? Is that why all of them were deserting? They were all running away. What is that businessman saw me doing? He's dragging his crying daughter and his wife into the car and they're moving to Ahmedabad. What? Why? Why? I gave him the space. He built his empire, diamond empire here. He's deserting me. That's not fair. I'm not responsible for this. I'm not responsible for this. This couldn't be. Oh no. Ghost town? Ghost town? This is a ghost town. What all should I hear? Ghost town. What all are they telling? What? Kantibai is crying, people are running, they're calling it a ghost town. And then another 2 days, I heard that a new municipal councillor had been elected. Kantibai came with a smile on her face. Do I see? Do you think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel? Is there a ray of hope? Yes, maybe this municipal councillor can do something. Katibai is happy because she's getting more and more of her clan, the sweepers. More and more sweepers have been brought in. The drains are going to be closed. The open drains are going to be closed. This is enough. Still, are the people going to listen? Won't the littering happen? Won't the garbage happen? No. The municipal councillor is not an ordinary man. He was a strong man. He divided this town into 6 zones and he had bureaucrats supervising every part of the place. He said AC to DC, meaning from the air-conditioned offices to directly going there. Direct changing is happening. Yes, I saw those changes happening right in front of me. But the world over, people started calling the people from here pariahs. They didn't want anybody to come and stay with them. What if they get infected? What if they were infected? But then, and the businesses start a heavy loss. This is the most prosperous town and heavy losses. But no, this one man brought in so much of change. He demolished all those other unnecessary buildings which were there, made the roads broad, saw to it that the garbage the segregation was happening and how the garbage could be used. He brought in rules, taxes, and everything in spite of having trouble from the local politicians. He was a firm man. And the people started believing, yes, there's something can be done and something is being done. The smiles came back on the people's faces. I can see Saumil Desai coming back in his car. So people have started trickling back into this town. All of them are coming. And they're seeing a change in this place. It's becoming brighter, cleaner. Wow. They said, this is our town. Yes. We will together make it the best place. And today, the proud moment which I was talking about, Surat, the city in Gujarat, have been declared as the cleanest city. We rose from the ashes to great heights. Surat.
Well, that was a wonderful story of Surat, isn't it? The city. And whenever we think of raising from the ashes, we think of human beings. Well, this was the story of a city which rose from the ashes. And something that is very synonymous whenever we hear the three words rising from the ashes is the phoenix bird, isn't it? Phoenix bird, like most of us know, is part of many mythologies. A bird which is just synonymous to resilience. They say it lives for 500 years, and at one time, only one phoenix bird lives on the earth. It lives for 500 years, radiant, beautiful, with colorful feathers. And at the end of 500 years, it builds a nest, a nest with burnt cinnamon, sits there and sets the nest to fire. Not to escape from it, but to burn to ashes in its own nest. And they say, from the ashes comes the next phoenix bird to live on for the next 500 years. Rising from the ashes, the phoenix bird. Aren't we all that? Well, the next story for Raising from Ashes comes from Geeta Auntie from Indian mythology. Unmute yourself, Auntie.
Sorry. Now, am I audible? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We have heard about number of people who had faced a lot of troubles in their childhood, but later their destiny changed. Someone whom I admire the most is from our well-known epic. His life had been full of misfortune right from the childhood. He was a hard worker. He had determination, power, talent, but still he failed in front of the destiny. This is a story of Karna, the hero, the character from Mahabharata. His birth was an accidental birth, a warrior who hailed from a royal blood. He had become the king one day, but he was forced to live like a life of banishment because of his mother, Kunti. Kunti was the adopted daughter of Kunti Bhoja. Once, great Durvasa, the sage, visited Kunti Bhoja's palace. Kunti Bhoja asked his daughter Kunti to take care of the sage during his stay. And Kunti did extremely a good service. And in return, you know what the sage did? He gave a mantra. And he also said what will be the effect of the mantra. Also, he left the palace. One day, when Kunti saw the beautiful morning sun rays, she guessed the effect of the mantra. So she chanted the mantra. Aha. She was blessed with a baby boy. Holding the baby boy, she was standing on the river bank. She thought, oh, this child might ruin my future. And my father, he will commit suicide if he comes to know that I got a child without the legal marriage bond. I don't know what to do. Definitely, this child is going to be a trouble for me. I don't want. But Kana, you are so small. You are yet to see the beautiful world. You are so innocent. I don't know what to do. I am helpless. I'm sorry. I can't help you. So she wrapped with a heavy heart. She wrapped the child and the child in the sandal box and she released the box into the river nearby. Thus, she abandoned her own child to avoid getting herself into the trouble. In Mahabharata, Karna asked Lord Krishna, Krishna, my mother left me the moment I was born. He said, my fault that I was born an illegitimate child. Ah, surprisingly, the child survived. He was rescued by a chariot. He and his wife took care of the baby. As he grew up, he had to face another incident. Dronacharya, the trainer of kingly warriors, that is, he will train only the people from royal blood. But Karna wanted to learn the archery art from him and excel like Arjuna. So he approached Dronacharya. But Dronacharya rejected, saying that I cannot teach the son of Chari a heavy heart. He didn't know what to do. Although born into a royal family, Karna did not have the right of honor or the rights that his brothers, the Pandavas, had. It was his misfortune. So Karna, then disguised as a Brahmin, had approached Parashurama. He is the guru of Dronacharya, and he hated Kshatriyas, the people from royal blood. He taught Karna all the martial arts. Afternoon, Parashurama was feeling tired. He said, Karna, I want to take rest. Can you just get me something to, something to rest my head? Karna said, my guru, no, please, I will give you my lap. Just lie down on my lap. So Parashurama lay down on his lap and he was fast asleep. That's when a giant bee was flying around Karna. And tongue, the giant bee stung Karna's thigh. Karna had a severe pain due because he could not bear. But he did not move because he did not want to disturb his guru's sleep. The wound was so deep and started bleeding. Parashurama woke up with the blood. At one glance, he has understood. Oh, this man is not a Brahmin because Brahmin cannot bear this severe pain. So he cursed Karna. You will forget that all the arts, skills that you learn from me, and especially when it is needed in the battlefield. Another curse, another insult. Karna next wanted to challenge Arjuna when Pandava and Kaurava were showing their talents. So Karna just moved forward and Pandava laughed and laughed, marked at him saying, hey, this competition is only for those with royal blood, not person like you. Please move away. Karna was totally feeling his body was shaking. And it was Duryodhana offered a small kingdom under his and made him the king of that small place called Angadesha, so that he would be able to showcase his talent and compete with Pandavas. Karna, as a newborn, was abandoned in a river, faced misfortune again and again, reduced to ashes again and again, tried to rise again and again. That Karna's story is an example for rising from the ashes, because later he became the king of Angadesha with the help of his friend Duryodhana.
Unmute
That
yourself.
was a beautiful story from the mythology. But then do you know that nature there is some interesting things which thrive on this fire. It's called the fire beetle. This fire beetle, do you know, whenever there's a forest fire and these beetles rush towards that forest fires, they have sensors which make them rush towards the forest fire. And there they lay eggs. And these eggs hatch in that hot place. Isn't it very interesting? Isn't it a true case of rising from the ashes? Just wanted to share the small snippet. You can look at it later. But now, let us move on to one of our very wonderful tellers, Meera.
Sumi leans against the restroom door in her office, one hand on the knob and the other on her 8-month pregnant abdomen. From the corner of her eye, she sees a young girl standing by the mirror, adjusting her lipstick. Are you okay? Are you okay? She seems to be asking. Sumi staggers to the seat at the corner of the restroom and falls down heavily. The girl is talking about a meeting with a boyfriend, the best place to eat, the new HR policy. Sumi cannot let anything sink in because she is tensing. She tenses, waiting for the next wave of nausea to come up from inside her, as if wanting to throw everything from inside out. And then it comes with a violent swear. She gets up and rushes towards the restroom again. The young girl, as yet uninitiated to the woes of pregnancy and hormones, drops her lipstick and runs out of the restroom, saying, I'll get help. Sumi closes the door and, after retching, sits down on the bathroom floor. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? How many times she's been asked this in the past few days, as if just the act of asking will make her feel better. She just wishes she could become invisible again. Invisible, as she used to be in her childhood and her growing up years. Her mind travels back to the past. Sumi was the daughter of a famous star, an actor, adored and adulated by the country. Next to him, she was not just insignificant, visible. Her father was not cruel to her, but he just didn't seem to know that she existed. And whenever he did speak to her, it was always in disappointment. So Sumi had sunk herself behind, back against a wall till no one could see her, as did her mother. Sumi hardly remembered her mother's voice till that day when everything changed. Her father was involved in a near fatal accident and went into coma. Suddenly, the crown of histrionics seemed to shift from her father to her mother. Her mother stood up and ran from pillar to post, trying to get government compensation, funding. She sold everything they had, every bit of property, to keep her father alive. Even after every single specialist, every single doctor had told her there was no hope. Why she had done that, Sumi had no idea. But then, one day, she became visible to her mother. Her mother had come up to Sumi with a proposal, a marriage proposal. There is this industrialist, very rich, good looking. You must have seen his pictures in the magazines, huh? He says he is a big fan of your father. He is ready to marry you and support your father's treatment till he is better. Sumi had laughed. Sounded like something out of the history books where kings married to annexed kingdoms. But what kind of a kingdom was she? She had met this man. He seemed charming enough. Besides, at that time, Sumi did not have any other plan. She had no idea what she was going to do with her life, and this seemed an escape as good as any other. And so she had got married. There was a knock on the door. Are you okay? Are you okay? It was a HR. No, said Sumi from within. Can I help you? Can I get you to the doctor? Can I get you to the hospital? Came the voice from outside. You can burn this building down, Sumi had said. Sumi seemed to be emotionally upset. Came the voice from outside. So emotionally upset. It was more like emotionally completely devastated. Her mind went back to those days after her marriage. There had always been 4 people in her marriage. Yes, 4. She, her husband, her mother-in-law, charming lady, who seemed to find any reason to bring them both together, Sumi and her husband, which they were not. Sumi had realized early enough that her husband was not interested the least bit in the marriage or in her. And then there was the 4th person, her husband's childhood friend. The photos of the 2 boys was there all over the house, everywhere. And he was always there. Even landed up on their honeymoon saying that he happened to be in Australia. After some time, it just so happened that he was there in their house all the time. He called her Sumi, Bhabhi, sister-in-law, and she called him Bhaiya. How naive she had been. Even when she had come to know the truth, it was not because of her detective powers. It was not because she had found out about it using her brain. It was because the twosome had sat her down and told her. It had been a couple of months back. Her husband had told her, Sumi, I can't do this anymore. I have never been in love with you. We two had a relationship from forever. But my mother, she holds the purse strings. She is the one who handles all the money. She told me that I have to get married. It's not fair to me. I put up with it for so long, but he looked at him with complete shock. What was he telling? It was not fair to him. And what about that child? She was 6 months pregnant by now. Why this? She had asked him. Bhabhi, the friend had said. The mother-in-law. He wouldn't listen to us. Huh? She insisted. Don't worry. The baby will have 2 fathers and a mother. Was he dead? Couldn't they understand anything? What about all those times when she had been intimate with her husband? What did it mean? The wave of nausea that filled her wouldn't stop and kept coming again and again and again and again, till this day as it came up all over again. Fire, she hears, and the fire siren goes off. Fire in the building? She tries to push herself, her hands down and lift herself up, and the spasm of pain pushes her down. Again. Little one, you have to stop doing this. The door is closed. She tells. Door is closed. Just as every door closed, every door is closed to her. She talked to her mother. A week back, she had talked to her mother. She had told her, Mom, I'll take care of him. We may not be able to afford the hospital facilities that father has now, but we can give him a peaceful death at home. I'll earn, I'll support you, I promise. Death? Mother had said, what are you talking to me? Death? Here I am struggling to keep him alive, and you're talking about death? How irresponsible can you be? He has given you everything that you have ever had. And when it's time to do something for him, Zainab looked at the mother in shock. What are you telling, Ma? What about me? What about my life? To see me? See you? Look your father. He's all that matters. A lifetime of having been told that she was not enough, Sumi could not muster the courage to tell her mother that she mattered. She had sunk back that day. And there she lay. The acid smell of carbon dioxide filled the room and her nostrils. Maybe this is for the best, she thinks. Maybe this is for the best. Maybe she would just give in. Maybe it is all meant to end this way. It is all meant to end this way. She opens her eyes. She's being carried. It's an old man. He's breathing heavily. He's wearing a firefighter's uniform. He sets her down near a tree and signals to the nurse. Come quickly! She's pregnant! Baby! Sumi holds his hand. Did you carry me? Wasn't I? Heavy? Oh, baby. Oh, thank God. Everyone in your floor. I couldn't save anyone. But it must have been God. It must have been God in your tummy. Now that you're safe, I think I'll go and find some more. Take care. Take care. He walks away. Sumi's eyes are burning. Her throat is parched. She needs to tell her family. She puts her hand into the pocket to pick out the phone. Otherwise, they will be. Otherwise. Otherwise, they will believe that she is dead. Maybe this was just something that had happened to her to burn her shackles and move away, to burn her past and move forward. She rose to her feet and staggered over to the burning fire and threw her ID card and phone into the fire and turned away. The flames were behind her. The sky in front of her was orange and yellow and grey, deceptively beautiful, not reflecting the fire that was raging behind. Maybe that was how her life would be, deceptively simple. She didn't know what she was going to do. She didn't even think that it would be without problems. But maybe with the little one, she just had the strength to fight her problems. Her problems. Maybe It was time for her to rise from the ashes.
Yes, resilience is very because we cannot escape difficult situations in our life. Comes and goes. And there always be challenges one after the other, and we have to overcome. If we are resilient, I think we will be able to overcome the obstacle and manage the stress. Now, we have our next storyteller, Anaga, to share her story. Anaga,
दिल चाहता है ता ना 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 ta ti ti ta. This song is so synonymous to road trips, isn't it? Road trip to Goa with your friends. That's the picture that you get in your mind every time you listen to this tune. Well, this 32-year-old also was on the road trip, her first road trip to Goa with her friends. She had told her family, "We are going to go from work after lunch. I'm going to have the fun of my life." And she was really looking forward to it. Well, all of them were stuck at work and they managed to leave only at 7. Like a teenager, she was very, very scared to inform her family that they're leaving at 7 and they'll be driving all night. She was scared that they will say, "Oh, don't go today, leave tomorrow." So she just didn't message or take their calls. And in case they did message, she just replied, "On the way." They started their journey, stopped over for dinner, and then continued. The night was beautiful for her. As her friend drove, she looked at the highway. It looked like the maze of the video games with the reflectors on the highway shining away. Listening to songs, she just kept looking. She let out a scream. There was a bus in front of them, and all she heard was, "Oh shit!" And the next moment, she was on the ground, immobile. A few moments, there were a lot of bystanders and police, lot of confusion, people trying to help all the 4 passengers in the car. Brown bag, back seat, phone is all she went on murmuring, for she wanted to inform her family herself. In spite of all the confusion that was going on, she was very, very cognate. As soon as the police got the phone, she blurted out the number and she informed, "Come soon, met with an accident." Her boyfriend was sitting in the front seat and he was wearing the seat belt. He escaped with just a scratch on his forehead. He managed to get her some first aid, and within a few hours, she was in the ambulance with her father in the front. Her brother in law has a pilot vehicle in front of the ambulance, making way, and her boyfriend holding both the legs. For they were informed that she had multiple fractures and her body had to be as still as possible. It was a bumpy ride. She was screaming in pain, and in the middle, she managed to utter a few love yous to her boyfriend. As the ambulance wheeled into the hospital, her mother and her sister rushed to her. As she was being taken to the emergency ward, she kept screaming, "Amma! Amma!" in the pain. But her mother could find out which Amma was her call when she just met her eye for a few seconds. The waiting outside the emergency room felt like years for the family. And when the doctors came out, they said her life was at stake. Multiple fractures in all the major bones. The next 48 hours was very, very crucial. And if she did make it, then they could think of all the surgeries. There was some faith, trust, and hope in the family that she would make it. And after 48 hours, she underwent many surgeries, long 8-9 hour surgeries to fix the bones. And with 5 rods in her body, she was in the ICU for 15 days with epidural and heavy painkillers. Maybe because of that, she didn't feel the pain much and her zest was up. Every time her family member came to see her, she had that broad smile on her face and said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine. Brother, just write, 'Hi, Akka.' Akka, no, write donkey, monkey." She would write letters as she would dictate to the brothers and sisters, for her sister was not allowed into the ICU as she was 8 months pregnant. And they would exchange letters. After 15 days, the day she was shifted to the ward was when the gravity of reality just hit her. Weaning off the epidural and the painkillers, the pain was excruciating. She screamed. There was not a second which went silent in the hospital. The family thought, will we be able to manage her? Will we be able to provide all that she needs in the house, or should we just extend the hospital stay? But she wanted to go. They made sure the room where she was as comfortable for her. She was taken back home in a stretcher, for she couldn't sit. The stretcher was taken up the flight of stairs as they lived in a first floor. And as she lay on the bed, which was her bed, she didn't know what was it going to be. Multiple thoughts in her mind. Will I be physically challenged forever? Will I get that tag? What will happen to me? Thoughts went back to her childhood when she felt sick and she would say, "I don't want bread. Give me idli. Huh? It's too cold. Get me a cover." But now, she was completely dependent. Dependent in how? Amma, I want to pee. Appa, I want to pass my stools. She had no other option but to call her family for even to pee and to pass her bowels and get cleaned. The endless nights, the sleepless nights her parents, her mother especially, spent, for she felt her mother's hand on her chest, checking every now and then if she was sleeping or if she was okay. Will I be ever sit up? Will I ever be able to walk again? Tears flowed. She just had her left hand to just wipe it off, for on her right hand she had a rod. Both the legs immobile with 4 rods, unable to move. Will I marry my boyfriend? Will he still love me for how I am now? Or will it be just out of pity, or is it true love? And in case we do get married, will I be able to make love? How will our life be? With all this, one more thing shattered in her mind. That was her perception that her mother loved her sister more, which she had carried with her for 32 years. She was glad that perception just shattered. She knew that she was also the apple of the eye of her mother. She was looking forward for that sunshine. Her little nephew or a niece But that sunshine became a rainbow baby. She held herself responsible for that as well. That guilt that she drowned in. She had a visitor every single morning. A visitor who instilled more physical pain than she could ever bear. Her physiotherapist. She knew that she had to give in. She had to give that 100% for in just few weeks. She saw some movements, though not on her own, but with the help of the physiotherapist. He was an unwelcome guest, but welcomed with a lot of love by the family. After 3 months of the accident and being bedridden, is what she heard. As with the walker, she took that first step. Tears in her eyes, in her mother's eyes. She thought, how privileged I am that this memory of the pride, of the joy in the mother's face when a baby takes first step is etched in mine. For I'm sure none of us remember that look on our mother's face when we took the first step, isn't it? She was privileged. That was the first step, and there was no stepping back. Though her family said, take it easy, we'll take one day at a time, she said, no, I want to get back to work. It was difficult for the family. It wasn't easy financially, but they said, it's okay. But she said, no, I want to get back to work. And just 8 months after the accident, she went back to work. And how? Her dad took the wheelchair and the walker down. She sat on the first step, and it was a flight of 20 steps. She crawled down one step at a time. And as she went into the cab, there were tears in the eyes of her mother, filled with pride. Her father was filled with joy. And her sister was always backing her up, and her brother-in-law just hugged her and said, all the best. 1 year after the accident, there was a lot of hope in her, for her boyfriend wanted to marry her. And she knew for sure that it was true love. But the family was skeptical like any other Bollywood movie. But she convinced them, saying, this is what I want, and I'm sure this is the best thing to happen to me. They agreed, and then the series of thoughts of self-doubts. I can't walk properly. I still limp. How will the wedding rituals happen? And they said, it's okay. We will do everything that you want. And without the stick, she walked up to the stage, limped, and sat on the chair when her fiancé, now the bridegroom, sat down through the wedding rituals, and they got married. I want to go to Goa for our honeymoon, she said. What? Goa? Are you sure? He asked. You think Goa is jinxed? Let's prove it wrong. Let's go to Goa, she said. He said, anything you want. And they set out with Dil Chahta Hai, Kabhi Na Beete Chamkile Din. And that is the story of raising from the ashes. And that 32-year-old woman was my sister, who came up and that got a new life and is leading a beautiful life now. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And let's all come back.
Thank you so much, Eric. This is the third year in a row that we got to present a segment of stories in CSF, and we are really, really grateful to you for giving us this space to share our thoughts and stories. And anyone who has any thoughts, if you have time, we'll be happy to hear it from you, or else please do reach out to us anytime to let us know your thoughts.
Yes, well, that was very beautifully done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I, Meera? Rohini here.
Why don't we go back to gallery view for a minute?
Yes.
Mira, can you do that on your side?
Remove this.
There we go. Good. Yes, we have 20 people in the meeting, but not all of us have our cameras on. But yes, please, anybody, go ahead. Any thoughts?
May I, Meera? Rohini here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a wonderful collection of stories. Every story, in fact, putting aside Kanna's story, was a kind of a personal experience. Paruma, you were amazing. Until the end, you held it like we did not know, we couldn't even guess that it is a state that is speaking out the story. And especially in the first person when you were expressing and all, that was wonderful. And Anadha and Meera, as usual, you guys are so expressive. I couldn't take my eyes off from you as you were narrating. And Geeta ma'am, such a wonderful story. And Kanna has been my favorite throughout in the Indian mythology. And lovely way you have brought out the story. That is wonderful, very inspiring. And at a time, it made me emotional when I was listening to Anagha's story. And it's so touching, every story, in fact. The detailing and all was very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's me, Gauri. I would just like to say that I enjoyed listening to all stories and especially a variety of stories, but it was all related to a common thread rising from the ashes. So it was wonderful, and the voice modulation and the expressions and the emotions that you brought out, it kept us engaging till the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello to all. I'm Neela Girish. The first thing that I would like to say is each one of you had, something to keep us engaged with what you were saying. So well expressed. We can't point to who exactly did the better, but every one of you, each one of you, you had your own way of narration. And you stood with your theme, rising from the ashes. And, we get to learn a lot how to tell story, even if you were four of you or what, it was like as if we could sit on for long and hear all of you. So thank you so much. Such a lovely experience being part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.